Everybody would have killed me. All right, y'all. Okay, so if
Um,
there's, huh? Did I miss somebody?
okay, no, I'm back. I found the question. So, the question was, what is the final development task in Super's theory?
It should be decline
And so, the
and
answer is
disengagement. Yeah, decline.
disengagement. Yeah, I hadn't
That'll
seen that.
that'll
Yeah,
be like declining. That'll be because they're disengaging from work. So when
okay,
you think about it, it's like retiring, right?
right,
They're
okay,
not looking to go ahead and try to get promoted or trying to go up higher, whatever. They disengaging from work. And a good example of that, I remember all last year, um, one teacher, she was retiring. So everything we did, she was like, this my last year. I ain't got to worry about this no more. This my last go round. This my last. So she was just letting everybody know I'm not gonna be here no more. This is it. Yeah, the kids they can go crazy because this is it. I'm gone. She was disengaging from the career.
right.
Before
And
that, she was all for it. She was all into it. But once you think about it, disengaging, like trying to step away from it and getting away from it and starting to decline. So I
I
can
guess
see how that
while
be.
I was asking the question, because I actually had put retirement, because retirement was one of the answers too. And so they had retirement and disengagement. So I was like, and the
It would
answer was
have been, yeah, it would have been disengagement
okay,
because underneath decline it say disengage. But
okay,
I'll pull it up. That'll be on that. You can see those different ways of explaining that, and I'll give it to you. It's really on the steps. You know how they got the picture of the steps of super?
okay. The ladder.
Uh-huh. And we'll
Yeah.
look at, yeah, the ladder.
Okay, okay,
And
cool.
we'll look at it and then see those different words. Remember vocabulary, vocabulary. So that's the different vocabulary of different words that showed on there underneath the same stuff. But we'll look at it. Don't worry about
Okay.
that. That was little. You can get that. I got you.
Thank you.
All right. So we running through career. All right. Now, I'm just gonna throw out there and I want you to explain it to me as if I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay? So everybody, anybody who gonna say it or whatever, I need you to hop in and tell me about it. That's how this gonna go. If we get stuck, of course, I'll comb out the kinks, but it's okay.
Father of
So,
Foundational Guidance.
Holly, tell me about trait and factor.
Well, Frank Parson was the father of guidance.
Mm-hmm.
His trait and factor theory was more of your personality determines your career.
Absolutely.
He wrote the book Choosing a Vocation in 1909. It didn't become famous until 1938 after he died.
Absolutely. Hold on. My thing went crazy. Hold on. Absolutely. He did not know he was famous until he died. Poor man. Um, wait, I don't like that my picture thing is on this side. Hold on. Malfunction. Give me 1 second. I like y'all to be on my right side, and for some reason, y'all at the bottom, and I don't like that. What I gotta press? I'm just moving. Okay, I fixed it. Now let me go back. That's ghetto. Hold on. Let me start this over. But you are absolutely right, Holly. Hold on, y'all. All right, who else was a major person in the trait and factor theory?
John Holland.
Who was with Frank Parson at the beginning? Remember?
E.L.E.
E.G.
Williams.
Something Williamson.
Williamson.
Uh,
E.G. Williamson.
Minnesota point of
Absolutely.
view trait. Yeah, Minnesota point
Yes,
of view.
yes, yes, yes. That Minnesota. Viewpoint, absolutely. And remember, that was something he created. That was back in the day, like when they first started talking about it, that was the instrument that he created to find the trait and factor that goes with the trait and factor theory. And just what Holly said, the trait and factor theory was looking at all the traits that you possess or the traits that you know and to try to find it to fit in a job factor to see if it works, right? Um, and it assumes stable traits and clear occupational requirements. All right. Frank Parsons was who?
The father of guidance.
The father of guidance, absolutely. Somebody tell me all about John Holland.
He had the hexagon,
Uh-huh.
simplistic,
Um,
and he developed the RIASAC, which was a realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And the realistic is more like with your hands, carpentry work. Investigative is maybe like your doctors, and social would be teachers and us. Uh, enterprise would be car salesmen. Um, Lawyers can fit into that too because they're trying to sell you something. If it's like that,
yeah,
if they have it like that, and then conventional, well, that's your bankers, your accountants, your clerical workers, and you can be more. You can have a combination of a multiplicity of these. You just don't have to be just one thing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody want to add?
The hexagon.
It is a hexagon. Holland's hexagon. Um, it also just what Holly said, you can be more than one of these traits. How many, if we do the what test would I do
The Myers-Briggs.
when we talk about Holland? What test do you do?
The
SDS.
the strong.
Yes, a strong,
Strong interest.
You do the strong the SDS
the
to see what
self-directed
the self-directed
search.
search. And what else was his? Remember he had a couple, but what
As
other
bad.
ASVAB was one of the ones that he created, and then there's one more. Remember? Vocational preference
Yeah, the VP something.
inventory.
Yeah.
Always remember that. Look, I'm trying to pull out a note. Absolutely. So what was the whole purpose of John Holland doing this? What was the purpose of doing a personality test? If I'm looking for a job, like why?
To match your personality with the type of job.
Matching the personality with the type of job or occupant. So you don't waste your time and go and try to go be a doctor knowing damn well you were social. You was just good at something else. Absolutely. Oh, I found this. Absolutely. Super, so super. Somebody explain super as if I don't know what I'm talking about.
G, mom and dad.
G, mom and dad. What happens in the growth part? And what's the ages? Oh, I got to teach you how to remember the ages and the
Zero.
stages.
It's the 10 plus 20 plus 20.
Absolutely. So growth, give me the ages.
0 to 14.
Somebody give me the ages for exploration.
Isn't it 14 to
15 and
24?
24.
15.
Oh, somebody give me the age for establishment.
25 to 44.
25 to 44.
Somebody give me the age from maintenance.
45 to 64.
And what's decline?
65 and up retirement.
And how I said remember it.
G mom and dad, GEEMD.
And how I said remember the ages.
10 plus 20
plus 20.
20
plus 20 plus 20. That absolutely. Y'all gonna when you get in there, you're gonna write this down. All right? Because it's gonna be questions that's gonna ask Joe just got out of college and he just got his career. He's in his career. What stage of super development is he in? Well, we think about Joe, he getting out of college. So when you get out of college, you about what, 23, 24, maybe 25? So what stage he would have been in?
Exploration.
Absolutely. That's a point. Now, what did I say about super in this self-concept? When do the self-concept starts with super? What did he say? Or what do we see? And how do we get that?
It's like in the growth, right?
It's in the growth. Absolutely is at the beginning. Now, where did super get that idea from? From who?
Ginsburg and Ginsburg.
Uh-huh. And what's their stages?
FTR, fantasy, tentative, and realistic.
What happened in the fantasy stage and what's the age?
0 to 11 or 11.
Zero
Yeah,
to-
they
Yeah.
And what happened in fantasy? What's going on in the fantasy stage?
like a play role of like
Infancy.
Yep, when they at school and it's time to go for centers, they go
growth.
into their career and what they know. I'm
Mhm.
always gonna bring up that little girl washing hair in the class. That was just too funny to me. I bet we're gonna be a cosmetologist. What's the age and what happens in the tentative stage?
11 to 17.
What happened in the tentative stage? What's going on there?
Mm,
Think about
Like-
the ages, 11 to 17.
They're
They
exploding.
begin to explore more of the
They
You know,
starting
like
to get an idea. Absolutely.
like the
Yeah, because they coming up, they about to be seniors. They got to go to college. You got to figure out what you're gonna do because what you're gonna major in, right?
Mhm.
And then realistic, what that mean? We there.
Yeah,
It's
they
real. It's getting real. You need to pick what you're gonna do because you wasting financial aid and you wasting money. If you haven't picked by now, at what age is realistic?
17 to
10 to
20.
20.
Exactly. So by that time, you're a freshman and a junior and almost, a sophomore. A freshman, sophomore, and almost a junior. So you need to know what you need to do. And that's when we get into that phase when they're talking about crystallization, specification, all of that. Because after they leave this stage, because Super said he took Ginsburg, Axelrod, and Hermer stuff fantasy, tentative, and realistic. But then it fits into this G Mom and Dad because it even expanded it because after exploration, which would have been realistic, we go into establishment. We go into, we go into maintenance and then we go into decline. Now, remember, Super said that once you pick a career, that's your lifelong career. That's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. So that's why these ages and stages are so like if the world was perfect, like if you knew exactly what you was going to do. However, life don't work like that. It's people that go back into the field and they would either have to work some more or, just don't have the opportunity to retire and have to keep working because they don't have it like everybody else. So him saying it was a lifelong career, yes, that was Super who said that, but life getting away and stuff happens, right? Now, since we on that part, I want to bring up because it's names for what I just said, and I just remember that, and I want y'all to hear it. People going back into the workforce. What is that? People who got fired from the workforce. What is that? Remember, displaced worker.
work. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's why I'm about to pull these up, and don't worry, I'm gonna make I'm going to make a I'm going to make a worksheet for y'all to have this because we didn't talk a lot about these things and I don't want to forget about it. Matter of fact, I'm going to scan some stuff to y'all. I don't want to move from it, so give me a second. What else Super talked about? He has so many things.
Oh, a lot. The theaters.
Yes. What's that? What did he say? Like, what's how do things get into the theater? What's it called? Your life roles, right?
Mhm.
What was the life roles? Somebody tell me.
One of them is homemaker.
Homemaker,
Child, student,
Worker,
child, student, citizen,
citizen,
worker,
leisure.
and
leisure.
what's that leisure right? Who made that word up?
He did.
He did. He crazy. Just just like Freud. It's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna send it to y'all. But I wanted y'all to remember, displaced homemakers, okay? Women that used to work at home and going back into the workplace. Those words right there, I'm sending it to y'all because you need to know that. Y'all went down. You need to know that. Well, you don't need to know that, but I want you to, just in case. What else did Super talk about? We did talk about the 5 developmental tasks, right? What was the 5 developmental tasks? That's what I was bringing up, that crystallization. Somebody explain that to me. What was y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. The computer then dropped and y'all went down. Hold on. I was asking for somebody to tell me about crystallization, the 5 developmental tasks of super. Can somebody? What crystallization mean?
Like setting
Harden.
something in stone, like
Harden.
I want to be a doctor, so I'm trying to set it in stone that I want to be like
There
a
you
doctor.
go. You are hardening your decision. So, crystallization, the ages that happens is like 14 to 18, right? Around 14 and 18. 14, you a freshman in high school. 18, you a senior in high school. So you need to start hardening, crystallizing your choice of what you're going to be and what you're going to do in life, because now you got to start applying for colleges, or you need to start talking to the Army people, or you need to start looking at traits, or you need to go get a job, or, something got to give. So you need to start hardening your decision. Now, say my decision, I harden it. I'm gonna go to college. So what you gonna major in, girl? Well, I'm gonna be a doctor. All right. I just crystallized. I want to be in the medical field. I want to be a doctor. I can start picking classes towards being a doctor. Now, I'm in my classes, freshman year, I'm doing my thing. Around my sophomore year, classes are starting not to just be prerequisites, right? It's not just math, science, English, and stuff like that. We're about to start getting into some major classes. So, in order for me to get into these major classes, what kind of doctor you want to be? I need to specify what kind of doctor I want to be. By this time, I'm 18, 21. I'm going into my second year of college. So, I'm going to specify I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. Okay, I just specified what kind of doctor. The crystallization was me saying I want to be a doctor. I'm specifying it, I'm gonna be a neuro doctor. And now implementation kicks in. So this between ages 21 and 24. So I did my classes for my neuro stuff. I'm already passed up. I'm a junior. I'm done. Now I'm about to try to get into some internships and stuff like that, right? Because I'm in an implementation. I'm implementing that I'm doing this. So I'm finding a paid internship. I'm going to the hospital. And if anybody know about Prairie View, because that's just the best school ever. When you are in nursing after your third year, you're moving downtown Houston to the hospital. And there is a Prairie View building that's actually the hospital. So they're implementing what's happening. You want to be a doctor, you're a neuro doctor, here's your internship, you're downtown, this is what we're doing. Now, I am moving to stabilization. I'm 24, between 24 and 35. I got my license already. I'm practicing. I am cutting people's skulls open, okay? So I am stabilized in me being a neuro doctor. I'm doing my thing. I'm praying I'm not about to kill nobody, right? Um, Not only that, it's some new stuff that's going on, some new methods that's happening. Now I can go to the brain by looking at a computer. At this point, I'm 35 and up. I just consolidated everything. I'm just growing. I'm learning new ways to be a neuro doctor. I might, be so good. I'm giving talks. I'm, doing everything. Everything I just went through for this decision, I just consolidated. I'm just moving up at this point. And that's the 5 developmental tasks that Super came up with. Because remember, he said a career is a lifelong developmental process. Yes, meaning he think once you get in here, like people literally go into careers just like being a doctor. But some people, they don't. Not everybody, right? So that's all for Super, huh?
What was the ages for consolidation again?
35 and up,
Okay.
rest of your life. Now there is a ARC way model that Super talks about too. Girl, it sound like my washing machine about to run away. Where is it? I just want y'all to jot it down. On one side is needs, interests, and it
Archway.
looked like the McDonald thing. The Super's arch.
Archway.
So on one side is the needs and interests of a person, and on the other side is supposed to be family and community. I would give y'all the visuals that show you all this, but this is just something to remember about Super, just to jot it down in your notes and to have it on this recording. All right. Crumbolts. Somebody explain Crumbolts to me. Who is he? What'd he do?
He's a social learning side.
He is the social learning part of Kirill. What did he say?
That your environment and your environment in your environment and your upbringing determines what you will be, what you will do.
Absolutely. You remember he said your genetic factors play a role. So if your mama and your daddy was what?
Doctors, and you would be a
Doctors.
doctor.
You'll be a
9
doctor.
times out of 10, you gonna have to be a high achiever in that house. Think about it. You better not be bringing no B's in here. Your mama and daddy are surgeons. Like, no way. You get what I'm saying? Like, so he said the genetic factor did play a role. He also said the environment. Think about it. If your mom and your dad are surgeons, right? When they go for outings and banquets and stuff like that, and you're going, who are you going to be around? The other kids whose parents are surgeons. So the environment you around kind of like instill who you are. Even the way you are, your mannerism, everything. Just think about it. Think about what the people environments you ever hit, and it's an old saying that you are a product of your environment. Most of the time they say that to hood kids. She a product of her environment. Look at her. Ignorant, all this. Yeah, no, it actually go to the other way too. Learning experiences, task approach skills, you know how to approach certain things. And I take a lot to that because even teaching my kids how to approach different tasks. If I wasn't taught the way to approach different things, but what Crumbolts is saying for social learning, to learn how to do that, to learn how to approach, to learn to look at people in the eye. My kids had to learn how to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, no, thank you, all of those things. So that's what he's saying. And It's very true. Who else was a part of that social learning? Even in career, who? Who was the main person we know about social learning?
Mandela.
Albert Bandura. Who is Albert Bandura? What do you do?
Uh, the
He's the
Bobo
one with
dolls.
the Bobo dolls.
He did the Bobo dolls. Explain why was the Bobo dolls a thing?
Kids are learning from what they see.
Modeling, absolutely. Learning from what they see. What else Bandura was kind of known for? It's gonna come up again, but he was the main one that kind of talked about this. What about,
Self-efficacy.
huh?
Was he the self-efficacy guy?
Absolutely. Yes. Self-efficacy. Absolutely. The social cognitive model also value agencies learning from someone that believe in themselves, the self-efficacy. Some people get motivated by people telling them they're good, giving them rewards. Some people get motivated by seeing others do it. And I always bring this example up when I'm in the gym and then these older ladies be getting it and I be dying. I'm like, they can't see me die. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. And at that moment, Bandora, thank you for bringing out what's happening. You know, that self-efficacy, vicarious learning. People I mean, I did that so much and didn't know that I was doing that when I was young, but it was because it was something that was lacking. Like for an example, my family, I grew up single mother, me, my mom, and my sister for a long time. When we eat dinner, we used to can go in our room. We eat anywhere. You can eat anywhere. It wasn't until I went to one of my friends' house where everybody ate at the table. Like mama, daddy, brothers, everybody ate at the table. That was a chance for everybody to talk. We talked about how the day was. And in my head, I was doing vicarious learning by saying, when I get older, this how I want my family. We're gonna eat at the table. You know, that was something I'd never experienced that before in my house, but when I saw it, I was learning vicariously through that family of how I want my family. And that's what Bandura talks about. That's that self-efficacy. It's so many ways that you can use that. All right. Um, Krumbolt's learning theory. Yes, he used the work of Bandura. Okay, just to bring this up. He was also inspired. I always say Krumboltz was the behavior person of career, right? Why? What do they do? What did he do different on jobs? What would he do?
He would go on the job.
They will go on the job, show people, look, they're working on cars. You're gonna be good with that. I don't know how good you're, but look, he under there, like under there. You're gonna be good with that, right? Just so they can get a real feel. There's some people who learn hands-on stuff, like need to experience the things and see if that's something they really like. And then there's the social cognitive theory. I just threw this out because these are some of the people that did the same thing with Bandura. So the social cognitive theory was the learning theory with Krumboltz. These people are not that important, but at least you know the social cognitive career theory was a thing. So when you see it on the session, you're like, I never knew this. Yes, you do. Look, I'm telling you. That's that SCCT. All right. Only thing they were saying is the same thing, the self-efficacy, outcome expectations, and goal drive choices. So they all took a bite of Bandura's theory of social learning. Okay. Explain these assessments because you got to know these assessments. There's assessments everywhere, but these are the ones for career. Okay. What's the strong interest inventory? Who made it and why is there?
Holly.
Holland. Yep. What other one?
The Myers-Briggs was a young Carl Young.
Yes. Uh-huh. Can you explain what happens with the Myers-Briggs type indicator?
It's a personality test that basically says something about like sensing and oh, That's all I remember
Mhm.
assessing, but I know it'll like basically tell you like what type of jobs you're supposed to have, I think.
It goes with it. And then it also tells you what else about yourself.
Introvert, extrovert,
If you're an introvert or extrovert.
sensitive,
How many personalities it give you?
16.
And not to
16.
be confused with what?
That
Colette. I mean,
You
Patel.
got it.
Yeah, Patel. Patel.
Cattell's 16 personality inventory. Yeah, so don't let it trip you up. Myers-Briggs was made by who? I don't know their first names, but who were they?
Catherine and Elizabeth,
Uh-huh, and they were who to each other?
mothers and daughters. A mother and a daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Y'all can tell who do one-on-one with me, eh?
come on, Holly.
I'm gonna drill you. I haven't heard from Nikki. What's Onet, boo? Kim, somebody. Y'all quiet. Annette on here, where's she at?
I'll go. I'm
Come
new,
on,
but I know
people.
this one.
Come
Hi.
on, Miriam.
I'm okay. So the ONET is the assessment that you can give students to figure out what career field they want to go into.
Uh-huh. And what was it before?
I don't know that.
Dictionary of
DOT.
the dictionary.
DLT, the dot.
Yeah, the dot.
Yes, that's what you need. Yes. Absolutely right, Miriam. You did your thing. It's new. It used to be the dot. And what else happens?
The 30 is that the one with the 30,000 jobs?
That's the one with the over 30,000 jobs listed. Absolutely. Good job, y'all. Now here are some career counseling techniques. When I tell you I'm going to drill y'all, I'm gonna let you see this a little bit, but there's going to be a week where we just do counseling, where we're just gonna do counseling skills because there's so many counseling skills on this test that can confuse you because some of them kind of do the same thing, but it'll have a scenario and you will have to put what they doing, right? So what's active listening?
Isn't that like the nod heads, the uh-huh?
That's actively listening, like, okay, yep. Empathy,
I'm having
even though you know what they are, but what is it?
having an understanding for your client
Mhm.
when they're when they're speaking.
Yes, empathy, not what?
Sympathy.
Empathy.
Sympathy, because we do not feel sorry for them. We feel for them, like, yeah, I see that's hard. And that do, you do kind of feel sorry if you never went through it, and it's like, dang, you know. But I empathize with you. Like, I can see why you know it's hard for you. I can see why you depressed. Like, that's a lot, you know. So that's why that's a thing. Career genograms, that's just like what we gonna talk about in group. What gram we talk about in group?
Sociogram.
Enneagram.
Sociograms. Absolutely. All right. Job shadowing, that's a thing. Informational. Jesus. Interviews. Sometimes you can work with your clients and do like a mock interview to see how they gonna do. That's kind of like doing a career version of like a empty chair kind of thing. Like, come on, you talk to me, or some kind of positive transference that a client can do with you. Maybe act like you are the person that's interviewing them, and you can do some practice interviews with them to see how they gonna do, what they gonna say, what you don't want them to say, and all kind of stuff like that. And then, of course, we have the multicultural considerations, cultural values, and socioeconomic statuses that we are very much so aware of. Systematic barriers to opportunities, use culturally inappropriate assessments. What does that mean? This is going to show up again on ethics, but you might as well be used to it now. Using culturally appropriate assessments.
using assessments that's cultural for that person.
It is
Like,
normed for
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Absolutely, Kim, my girl. Using assessments that is culturally norm to this culture. You cannot use assessments that will show any bias to anyone. Like, for an example, we can't use any assessments that would be like for people who is GT and probably doctors and probably know certain things versus we need somebody who just, maybe had a high school diploma or anything like that, or maybe this culture just don't know. And I always say, like, state testing is not culturally norm for nobody. It's very biased, and these kids have to perform well on something that might not even do anything for them. Like, for an example, as a counselor, we supposed to do language testing. If any kids speak any other language than English, we have to test them with language, right? I mean, these kids, I'm talking about any language. Most of the kids, they come and they might speak it's called Forsha, which is it's what language is that? It's like Persian. It's Persian, and then we have Indian culture that comes in. We have the Hispanic culture and whatever. So on one of the pictures, and the kid, it never fails. These kids never get it right. In the middle, we have to ask them, "What is this?" And they got to tell us in English. And most of the time in the Hispanic culture, they don't know that it's a knife. And I always say knife. They know everything. And when they see a mug, they say cafe. Like they just, I was like, say cup. And they say cup, but and then the Eastern kiddos don't know what a pig is. And it's a picture of a pig and they got to tell me it's a pig. But culturally, they don't eat pork. So they're not taught what pork, so yeah, it's a thing. And I just have to bring that up because you have to make sure that that is normed on that culture. All right. So the key theorists that we talked about, Trading Factor, Holland, Super, Krumboltz. Tell me about Gottfriedson. Who is that? And what she talk about?
The circum
Linda Gottfriedson.
circumference circumference.
Circumscription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Circumscription what?
and one was
And
with if it's you'll do girls, so it norms you with girls do this, boys do this, and the
that's
other
this.
one was it goes opposite, so women can drive trucks now or things
That's
that
the compromise.
compromise.
Absolutely. The circumscription was everyone believed that boys cannot be nurses, girls cannot drive trucks. That's just the thing that everybody socially know. That's the circumscription, right? The compromise come in when a girl know, well, they say girls not supposed to be driving trucks, but I want to drive a truck. I'm good at driving. Watch me work. Got a trucking business, and she don't care what nobody say. That was her compromise. The guy, he didn't want to be a doctor. He was good at selling to be a nurse. And that's his thing. He don't care. When he talked to people, he don't say I'm in the medical field. He said, "Oh, I'm a nurse. I'm an RN." And that's the compromise and circumscription. Tell me about Ann Rowe.
Fields and levels,
Some levels.
How
eight
many
fields,
Eight
fields? How many levels?
levels.
6
eight fields,
levels.
6 levels.
Uh-huh.
And she followed
Um,
Freud. She followed Freud with the unconscious needs, and she also followed Maslow, saying that you need these needs to then go on in your career.
absolutely. Anybody can explain Maslow to me?
Uh,
No,
he was a
just see.
humanistic person, a humanistic theorist.
He's a humanistic theorist. I love humanistic. My people know I'm a humanistic kind of therapist. Not even gonna lie, because that's the realest theory they ever came up with. You can't reach what?
Self
Uh,
Self, come on,
Self-actualization.
Kim. Self,
sensation.
well,
self-actualization.
At the top and physiological is at the bottom. And you
Yep,
have to have those basic needs in order to make it, to live.
yep,
Food, water,
yep,
shelter,
yep. Love,
love.
job. Yes, your physiological needs. Physically, I need water. I need food, right? I gotta have that or I don't live. I'm done. But once I get water and I get food, I can think. I'm alive. What I need next? I need shelter. I gotta have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out, right?
Yeah.
Once I have that, I know I already got a job. So once I have that, I'm by myself. What I need?
Self-esteem.
I need love. I need to belong.
All belong.
Yes, I need to belong to somebody, belong to something. People really do need to belong to something. Either it's your job, either it's church, either it's friends. Even though there's people that's loners, but some people who literally do nothing and stay by themselves, that's most people you're gonna find a little depressed. All right. Once I get that, just what Kim said, I have the self-esteem that's mixed in that too, Kim. You're right. And then I start climbing up the ladder and start climbing up the ladder. I got a job. I'm doing well in my job. My self-esteem is good. I think I reached self-actualization. That's what Maslow's saying. So when you're working with clients and they depressed, and then you start having an initial session with them and saying, okay, so tell me about yourself, what you do, what you like, stuff like that. That's how I start mine. And you find out they living on somebody's couch. They don't have a job. Their car got repoed. They just sit there. They don't go to work. They're not trying to work. They're just so depressed they can't do anything. Well, what's the first thing you think you need to tell them? Call out like confrontation, positive confrontation, and kind of make them aware of, well, maybe you need to get a job and get off the couch. That might help you. So there you go. I just thought that was cool. I wanted to bring up calendars for my people. We already know. So on the next week, what are we putting? The week coming up, we talking about group. That's what we're going into. But before we talk about group, let's just go over a little bit more. And Tiedemann and O'Hara, decision-making model. I'm gonna send y'all these visuals, but I want you to put it. So on one side is anticipation or preoccupation. I'll explain it to you later. And then the other one is implementation or adjustment. So basically what they're saying is to make the decision, you're gonna be bouncing back and forth between these two things. You're anticipating getting a job, like you can visualize yourself being there, or you're working a job, or you're adjusting to the job. So it's all about decision making, and I'll send you all of this. What else I wanted to talk about? Tell me about John O. Kreitz.
He was the career matching.
He did what?
For
Career who?
maturity.
Career maturity.
Maturity. And what he said, what he did.
Once you stop crying, then you'll be able to go on into your career.
Yep. Once you stop crying, you can mature and go into your career. Coming from who? Who actually created that?
John Crite? No.
Super said maybe when you get a job, you just adjust to it. Like you just get used to it. And Crace came in and said, yeah, that's true. People can work and they can get adjusted and whatever. And what else am I talking about when I speak of that? TWA, yes. The work adjustment. He said, yeah, Super said you can get used to it, you just learn to like it. And then Crate said, no, I think people perform better when they actually like their job. I can get that. I can get with that. Savickas. Remember we talked about Savickas with the constructivist theory? What does that mean? Postmodern. What are my postmodern theories?
Narrative therapy.
Narrative therapy and what else? Remember solution-focused brief therapy. Solution focused brief therapy. Just know, but the main one is narrative therapy. And what is narrative therapy?
That's your life story, what you're telling yourself, what you've told
And
yourself.
and what we doing when we in therapy doing narrative?
Well, we're going to deconstruct to then reconstruct, deconstruct that old story, and we help them then reconstruct a new story.
Absolutely. And what do we call the clients that's doing the work? They are who?
The expert.
Close. What else?
The
What they're doing?
author.
The author. They are the
Author of their
author
own
of their
story.
story. Now, narrative therapy is the only therapy that use what? Remember this. Narrative therapy is the only therapy that use outside witnesses. What that look like? So, say we doing narrative therapy, right? And I'm working with my client. We got the story written down. She doing good. We just deconstructed. We just reconstructed. We getting towards the end of her sessions. So what I'm gonna do, with her permission, written in her informed consent, I'm going to invite one of my old clients who did narrative therapy to listen to her story. So once she listened to her story, she might implement something she did in her story and where she is now. Now, this client is going to be someone who already is flourishing and did her thing, and is healed. But that's what an outside witness look like, and it's only used in narrative therapy. Okay? Always remember that, because it's gonna come up on your test. There is something else I'm just throwing out here because I didn't want to forget. There is World of Work, and it's the words is wow. I'm gonna give y'all these visuals. It's a whole different visual, but I want to bring it up. And what that is data that's taken. It's a map that organized jobs using Holland code. Okay? It's called WOW, WOW, World of Work. And what does it look for? It looks for people, data, things, and ideas. Okay? World of Work. What else? Because I don't want to leave here. My washing machine is going crazy. What was Planned Happy Stance?
The chance that events play in your career and career development.
What does that mean? Planning your what?
Plan happens to lead to open, increasing career options and opportunities. You gave us that.
Like he says to
She's
plan for the uncertainty of whatever
Yes,
might
positive
happen.
uncertainty. Plan your happiness. That's why I like to remember planned happy stance. Remember, something's going to go wrong. Even if it don't, thank you, Jesus, it didn't. However, if it did go wrong, what kind of mind frame are you going to be in? So planned happy stance is you need to be in the mind frame as if this plan don't go right, what's going to be the backup plan? If the backup plan don't go right, what you gonna do until it do go right? You know what I'm saying? So plan happy stance, plan your happiness. That's how I look at it. That's positive uncertainty. Crumboldt said something about it, but Gillette was the one who did it. It's kind of a Gestalt way of thinking. And what does Gestalt therapy talk about? And what is it?
The empty chair.
What's the whole purpose of Gestalt therapy?
It's focusing on the here and now.
Focusing on the hearing now. What else? To become what?
To become whole.
To become
Whole.
whole. So Gillette took positive uncertainty for someone who could be a whole person. Yeah, something will go wrong, but if you have the mind frame to where I'm gonna keep going until it become right, then you a whole person. That means you operating from all parts of you. Your brain is just moving like, yeah, I'm gonna be down for a moment, but I'm gonna get back up. Yeah, this happened, but I'm gonna do what I gotta do to move forward. All right. So just remember that. What does encore, like an encore, mic drop, career thing, what does that mean? That's some of the words that I'm gonna put on a worksheet for y'all to remember. Encore career. Think of someone about to retire and and they retired, but then they had to come back. What does an encore do? Yeah, the person sung the song, right? And it was good. And then they finished. And then the crowd start calling for them to come back. Come back, come back, come back. They give them an encore. So what that means is someone could work and do really good at work. And then they retire. Something happened. They got to go back to work. That's called encore. Okay. I'm gonna give y'all the list. It's just coming up right now, and I need y'all to know that. But that's all for careers. Any questions?
Can you do Gillette's decision-making model again?
Gillette was really just known for that positive uncertainty, to be honest.
Positive
What I
decision.
just talked about.
Okay.
Yep. Remember I said a displaced worker are people who like the job is closing
Okay.
and is going out of business. I gotta find somewhere else to work. Displaced worker. Somebody explain FMLA for me.
The Family Medical Leave Act.
Yeah, monthly back.
Yes.
It gives you up to
12
12
weeks off.
unpaid. They cannot fire you. They cannot demote you. They have to keep your job in place.
They have to keep your job, absolutely. And remember in the Green Book when I highlighted that NCDA, go over and just look at that. All the things that I highlighted, the National Career Development Association, just know that that's an association. And what was ACA before it was ACA? What I said.
The G.
APGA, absolutely. Now, why was career even a thing in counseling?
Because of the World War III,
World War II.
World War II. They didn't have enough counselors.
They didn't have enough jobs for these folks, yes. So they implemented a counseling program in what grades? K through what?
Well,
K through 12. Yep. And that's it. And just some tidbits. Did y'all know that robots could replace 800 million jobs by 2030?
Yep.
Just know that. Also, women earn about 82% of what men earn. You're gonna replay this back. 55% of working age women are employed, and 47% of the workforce is women. Just throwing out some facts. All right. Now, for group time. Do anybody need to go use the bathroom? Everybody good? We're about to start group.
You mentioned world of what? Why was
Work. World of work.
Okay.
Yes. The beautiful world of work. Slavery, modern day slavery. So let's pull up group. Anybody on here like group? You can get paid a lot from group. I haven't did a group yet, but I heard you can make some money.
Mhm.
Stop sharing and sharing. Let's talk about groups. Y'all can see this?
Yes.
All right. Get them small. All right, let's get into groups. First, who was the person who brought up group?
Jacob Moreno.
Jacob Moreno.
Jacob Moreno and his wife. They always forget about the wife. The wife be right there. Hold on. Now, he coined the term group therapy. But of course, we know there's a preface of group and where it all got started. Who was that?
Alfred Adler.
Adler.
And when was the first time it was a group-like setting? What part of his theory brought that out?
What was that question again?
What made Adler be the preface of group?
Did it have anything to do with birth order?
It had to do with constellation. Yes, he wanted to know about the family. And of course, if we talking about the family, when we bringing the family in, what is it? Group. So, Jacob Moreno was all about psychodrama. He emphasized enacting conflicts or crisis situations. So, of course, he would choose someone to be a director, the producer, a protagonist, and all of these things, which was very interesting because doing psychodrama, he would actually place people in place that enacts someone else's story, which is pretty mind-blowing because what will happen is they'll be in a group and Susie already told her story, but Susie can't see her fault in the story. So what he would do is have everybody who kind of understand what we see, but she don't see it, then he'll have them enact it. And he would choose the person to play Susie so she can see her deficiencies in the story from another point of view. Does that make sense? So, like we said, Adler was the preface of group therapy. Yalom 11 curative factors. What do y'all know about this? Now, let that sink in. Yalom's 11 curative factors. So he figured these 11 things are what can cure a person in group therapy. All right, so look at it from that perspective. Altruism. If a person can give back to the group and give information and give what they know to the group without expecting anything in return, then they can possess one of the curative factors of being cured. All right. Universality. The group have to understand that one person is like, you're not in this by yourself. If a person can sit and know that I'm not the only one with this problem, that I'm actually in a group with everybody else who have this problem, then universality can be put into a person to have that curative factor of being cured in this group. Why am I saying it like that? Because some people don't possess these things, and these people are not good to be in a group. Some people just don't want to be saved. Some people don't want to be changed. But if they possess these curative factors, then they can, spread their wings. Interpersonal learning. If they are receptive to interpersonal learning, what does interpersonal learning mean? Person, interpersonal. What is that? Remember, it's all about the word.
With another person.
With another person. Intercourse. I can't have intercourse by myself. I gotta have it with somebody else. So interpersonal is me and somebody else. I'm taking interpersonal learning. Intra is me by myself.
Yeah.
All right. So interpersonal learning, that means I can not be defensive, listen to what somebody say, and learn from that about myself. For an example, what Moreno was doing with the people, and they're enacting somebody else's life just so they can understand what they doing wrong because they can't see it, but everybody else see it. So let me show you with the out-of-body experience kind of deal. That's interpersonal learning. You can't be defensive on this part. You got to be open to see if you can learn about you through somebody else, right? Imparting information, some teaching going on, right? What's happening right now is imparting information. We're learning, we teaching, somebody knows something, and everybody getting it, all right? Developing socialization techniques. What do you think that look like? They learning how to socialize with people. They learning how to listen without responding, right? Or if somebody getting into it, they're learning to see how I'm supposed to diffuse the situation without going left on somebody. Now they learning this from the counselor, okay? Because that can be imitative behavior, and I'll get to that. But imparting information is teaching, developing socialization skills. They learn how to socialize with each other, learn how to socialize through pain, learn how to just be in a group. It's going to take a while for them to get in a group, and we'll talk about those phases in a minute, right? Imitative behavior, modeling another's behavior and mannerism. If we in a group and somebody start going off on you as the counselor, you are not supposed to go back off on them because everybody is watching how you gonna respond. Now, if I'm somebody that's trying to teach y'all how to stay calm, how not to do this, how not to do that, they gonna watch and see how I handle the situation, right? To the best of your ability, without popping off, handle it where they can understand that conflict is a thing. However, this is how you handle it. This is how you're gonna be a grown woman about it. This is how you're gonna be a grown man about it. I'm not gonna go back and forth with somebody. You can either leave or we can have a discussion. I see you upset. I get it. But everybody is learning and everybody is saying some things that hurt. So either we can do it without arguing, or I'm gonna have to ask you to leave and come back when you calm, or just go take a step outside. They're watching how you handle the situation, right? So imparting behavior. Group cohesiveness. I always think of the word cohesive like glue. Think about cohesive glue, nail glue. Baby, once it start getting hot, you cannot pull that off. You cannot pull it off. All your skin gonna be gone. It's gonna be hard. So group cohesiveness just mean the group's starting to rock. They starting to be together. They starting to be brothers and sisters. They starting to be who we are in our group, right? In the tribe, we gonna go for the back with each other. We gonna pray. If something wrong, we gonna, what? You okay? You need this? Here you go. You know, that's just what we do. Our group cohesiveness is on point. It's belonging, you know, and all that. Now, this is a word that you're gonna see so much in the group section, which should be easy by the end of this. Catharsis. What is catharsis? Y'all know what that is.
Like screaming, releasing your emotions.
Emotions.
This is when the person who been holding and been the quietest, don't trust nobody in the group finally start to feel. This is when that person finally breaks down. This is when the person starts to cry, and we have not seen them cry, but that's exactly what it is, a release of feelings of emotion. But in a group, that's what that look like. When it's been sitting in there so long and the group has already got like this, and now you trust me or whatever, and you start to break through, you're going through catharsis. Corrective reciprocation of primary family group. So members may become to view the group as their second family. Because think about it, it's some stuff that's going on in group, right? And group probably will last for, think about it, 12 sessions, right? So you're seeing these people for a good little while, and you opening up and talking about stuff you probably never talked about with nobody before. Or even in AA, nobody understand being an alcoholic but all of us. Nobody understand me and my family, but you do. So this is my family. They start to believe this is my family, right? they have that setting, like, this is my family, but that's what that means. And then installation of hope. They have to be encouraged that it is hope after this. Like you feel right now, but trust me, everybody going through the same thing. We're gonna get through it, and you gonna recover. You gonna be good. And then of course existential, because who's an existentialist? Who's our existential person that's talking about this?
Yolam.
Yalom.
Yalom.
Yalom is the existentialist. Absolutely. So what he was saying, and what does that mean? Existential factors. Remember, that's all about the life and death. What does that mean, though? What he said. If a person, because I love existential therapy too, and if we need to go back over to therapy and for y'all to get it, I'll do it.
If a person realizes or it's the existence that you're gonna die, then you'll walk in your purpose. So whatever
You'll do what you need to do while you're here. Absolutely. You know, and you're not scared to die. You know, eventually I will die. But before I die, I'm going to leave a legacy. Or I'm going to leave a mark. I'm going to leave my name here. People going to know, or my children going to know, or my family going to know, or anything like that. So that's what that means. Now, Corey have these core skills. All right. These are the skills that I said I want to drill, because it's not only group that these skills are there, these skills are all throughout. And if you think about it, you're getting a license to be a counselor. So you have to know all the counseling skills. And there's so many of them on your test. So I just want you to do it, to get it. Active listening. What we was talking about. I'm listening, but I'm actually listening. I'm like into it. I'm nodding my head and doing all of that. But that also can go to what? What else? What other counseling skill kind of gives you the visual of active listening?
person-centered.
Person-centered, of course.
So,
But active
what you're
listening, let me rephrase the question. Yes, person-centered. What's in person-centered? Come on. What it tells you to be.
an empathetic, positive regard.
What am I doing? Come on, Rogers. Come on. What am I doing? Somebody tell me. When my face is matching what you're telling me, what is that?
I'm showing empathy.
Clarifying.
Come on, y'all. Congruence. Yes.
Congruent.
Congruence. Y'all there? Yes, you cooking. Y'all cooking with grease, actually. Congruence, active listening. I am shaking my head. I am interested. When you are mad, I am mad. If it's funny, I'm gonna laugh. I'm not gonna lie. Me and my client, like some of my clients, we be having a good time, okay? Like they can't wait to come because person-centered do something for you, Reflecting. What's reflecting?
Not restating, but kind of not paraphrasing, but it's kind of going back over what the client said, but not word for word.
And word for word would be what?
Paraphrasing.
Parroting, actually, like a parrot.
Parroting.
You can't say exactly what they say because they're gonna get annoyed with you. Didn't I just say that?
Right.
Yes, you did, but I'm trying to be a counselor. Wait. So reflecting is listening to what they're saying it back to them just so they can hear it and just so they can see that you understand what they're saying. Like you said that, when your mom does that to you, that really do bother you, and I can tell, I'm reflecting what they're saying. That also can go with what other counseling skills sound like that.
Summarizing.
You're summarizing just to show that you're listening. That's the only reason you summarize. You summarize to bring up what they're saying, say it back to them, which is kind of like reflecting, which kind of like paraphrasing. So all of these things kind of sound alike, but you're going to summarize. But when do you summarize? When do summarization come?
At the end.
At the end. Yes. So you let them talk. you did reflection, you did active listening, you listening, and then you say everything that they said towards the end and be like, how you say all of that, right? And then you can say this, the word that therapist is known for. How does that make you feel? After you tell them everything they just said, how does that make you feel? And then that's how you further your counseling sessions, right? Clarifying. What's clarifying?
Make
Pretty
it.
much clarifying what they're saying,
You see what
Yep.
they
And
somebody.
yes, and you're gonna start that conversation. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said Joe wore blue, but Gina wear green, right? That's how we clarify. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. I just want to make sure I'm getting everything. They like that. Emphasizing, interpreting. You're going to interpret what they're saying, which sounds like reflecting, which sounds like summarizing. But you want to make sure that you're getting it right, or maybe you even showing them how they're saying it or how, like what they're doing, right? Like they're saying they're excited, but they're like this. And it's like, are you excited? You sure? Because you just, you know? So you just have to literally show them what they're doing. What's blocking in group?
Would that be like if somebody was like being combative or interrupting other people and you had to like put a stop to it?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. That's going to be a main one you see in group. Questioning is questioning. You're going to question to further the session, right? Initiating, you're going to do that to initiate conversation. That's what you're doing. So they're having a conversation, but you see a moment where you can take it a step further. You're going to initiate something else. Let me ask you this. We talked about how it felt when you became an alcoholic. How does it feel when something really wrong is going on in your life and you can't grab that bottle? What you do? Initiating, right? Linking. What does linking mean?
Like when more than one person have the same issue?
Joe, you remember when you was going through divorce and you felt like the world was going to end? Look at you now. Tell her how you got over that. Well, let me tell you, you think it's gonna be horrible, but you're gonna find somebody and they sweep you off your feet, and then something good happen, right? So that's linking. Confronting. What does that look like?
confronting someone in a group, like if they come in there high or maybe drunk.
Drunk. I like that one. Drunk. They come in there and they're drunk and they talking about how they want to be. No, I can't say that. Because if they drunk, at least they came. That mean they 5 hours sober or 2 hours sober. So confrontation can be very positive. It can be something that's really big that can happen in a group. So what will happen is say somebody saying, I'm trying to get my life right. I done did this, I done did that. But you ask them, so you still looking for a job, right? Yeah, I'm always looking for a job. I'm looking for a job. What you did today? No, I just chilled at the house, smoked me some, ate, watched TV. But I thought you were looking for a job. Are you looking for a job like that? Well, that's confronting. You said you're doing something, but you just showing them the deficiencies in their stories or deficiencies in their life. Like you're saying this, but you're giving this, because there's people in people's life that's not gonna call them out or confront them. People gonna talk about you before they help you out. People gonna talk about you before they confront you for the stuff that you're not doing to help you. So that's what this is for. That's why a therapist is therapist because we don't know you like that. So we're gonna call you out on what it is, and I'm gonna help you with your life and get it straight because I don't know you like that. So I won't hurt you like that. People that love people and love people hard, they really hurt people because you don't want to tell them anything to hurt their feelings, but they need to hear it. So that's what confronting is. Supporting is supporting. We know what supporting is. You support them. They're going through a rough time, you support them. Assessing. Assessing happens kind of like with a co-facilitator with you. Um, but that's when you start to pull out the sociogram. Okay? You're assessing who can't stand who always arguing, who, nice to each other. Jenny don't like Joe, Joe hates Sydney, stuff like that. Modeling, we're modeling how to be, suggesting, evaluating. That's part of assessing. We evaluating, maybe this topic wasn't the best today because I didn't feel like you have to evaluate your groups or you're not doing no justice for them. And then you get to the point where you're going to terminate. What that look like. By this time, the group should understand and have skills to understand what to do when I'm not in group anymore. So termination depicts a whole bunch of things. They have to know how to have these skills. They have to know when it's time to go to a therapist, when it's time to go to a doctor, when it's time to do this. You have to give them those coping skills before termination. So all of these are all core skills of counseling. These people are nobody that you really need to know, but if you want to, Henry Pratt is another pioneer of group work. Gene Adams is a prosecutor of modern group work, founder of modern social work. Y'all know social workers don't really like us. I don't know why, but they don't like therapists. They hate that we get paid to do what we do. Oh well, can't do nothing for you. All right, so we know that group therapy was initiated and it flourished in the US due to the shortage of independent therapists. So they didn't have enough independent therapists. So I see you got this problem, he got the same problem, he got the same problem. Let's just all talk about it together. We can just do this together. Most of the time, if we're talking about during World War II, all of them have what?
PTSD.
PTSD. Absolutely. PTSD. We need to talk about it. Nowadays, it gets even better. If you have PTSD, I can use what to help you get rid of it?
EMDR.
EMDR. Absolutely. Groups have a definite membership, basically saying, you know how if you part of a group, how it turned into a family. That's all this is talking about. There's unity. Members share a sense of purpose. That's that universality. That's that installation of hope and all of that. Now, there's certain types of groups. Somebody explain what's an open group.
The open group that anybody can come in, and it's just always revolving. Going in.
Yes. Anybody can be replaced.
Yeah, in a closed group, it's just that it's closed to those people and no one can come in.
Where do cohesion thrive at? In an open group or in a closed group?
Closed group.
Closed group.
In a closed group, yes. What can happen in an open group? Something that can kind of be a drawback for new
Resistance.
members who come in.
Misinformation.
They miss all the good stuff. Because you got to remember, and we're about to get to it, groups go through different stages, right? And if we already went through storming, we already had a fight, they already know that you can't touch me, and you coming in, you trying to try me because I'm nice, but they know, then we got to come all the way back over and start the storming stage because you knew, and now we missing out on, we supposed to be working at this point, but now we back storming and stuff like that. So keep in mind. What does risky shift phenomenon mean? Do y'all remember? I don't know if y'all played in y'all neighborhoods, but did you ever go knock on somebody's door and run? Would you do that by yourself?
Oh,
It had to be a group.
so
It
you
had
put
to
a
be a
group of
group.
people, yeah.
I'm not about to go knock on somebody's door and run
I'll
back
do
and
it
just
with the
see if they
group.
open the door by myself. It got to be a group, and that's what risky shift phenomenon talk about. It just straight up say the group would take a risk if it was more more of us.
Yeah.
Risky shift phenomenon. We gonna do something crazy and wild when it's a group of us, because I ain't doing it by myself. So here's the important numbers of group. Your lucky number 8 is the highest you can have in a group. All right, for adults. Now, for children, it's going to be half of that, because you can see a question that say it's half of what an adult group is, and you just know the magic number is 8. Half of 8 is 4, and that's the max that you can have for children. All right. For adults, 90 minutes, you might see 2 hours. If you see 2 hours, pick 2 hours. If you see 90 minutes, do 90 minutes. For children, how long?
30 minutes.
30
30
minutes.
minutes.
Okay. 30 minutes with me, because my mind start going crazy. Matter of fact, 25, because they do too much. That's why I don't think I can't have group with little kids. I'm so happy I am not the counselor for little kids. My kids are third, fourth, and fifth grade. They already think they grown. We do better. All right. We here. I can't do them pre-K and stuff like that. All right. Now, strategies that up to approach the group as a whole. That's going to be a horizontal. Everybody, horizontal. You know, this is horizontal. A horizontal intervention. Right? Horizontal, like this, like this. If I want to address one person individually, up and down, that's vertical. So it's going to be a vertical intervention. A vertical intervention. I love for y'all to remember how I'm doing my hands, because when we get into assessment, you'll get it so much better. All right. Horizontal, that's the whole group. Vertical, that's you and you individually interventions. Got it? All right. Now, before we do a group, what do we have to do?
Bring them an intake.
You have to screen. Matter of fact, before you see a client, it's not a have to, but you kind of want to give them that free 15-minute consultation call, because we need to see if we're going to be good together. You might like my picture, you might like what I said, but let me talk to you. Because some people might not like all of my clients love that I have a sense of humor and how I talk to them and how I'm so interpersonal with them. Some people don't like that. Some people just want you to be like this, and that's just not me, and I can't do that. And it wouldn't work out. So you have to screen. You have to give consultations, things like that. So group leaders often prefer private screening, so it can be a call or it can be like an interview. You want to screen your group to make sure they're gonna be good for you and they're gonna be good in a group. All right. You screen the group when screening potential members. Why this is not the most cost or time efficient method, it gives the client and a counselor increased opportunity to exchange information. Now, if somebody come to you and say they have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, do you think they would be good in the group?
No, ma'am.
Because I don't know when you're gonna switch up on me. And I don't have time to be doing a crisis moment with you when I'm trying to get with a group. Nothing against you, baby, but I think, you know what? Let's start with individual counseling first. Let me see if I need to do some DBT with you just before I put you in a group. You know, I just feel like me and you just need some more time together before I put you with everybody else. Is that okay? That's how you're gonna tell them. Because if they have an episode, baby, your group is done. All right, everybody got to go home. They're gonna be going off on everybody, and it's not even their fault. It's because they got a borderline personality disorder, and they might not be medicated. Now you got to do all of that. So, cohesiveness is the most important. I wish I could y'all highlight this, okay? This is going to be one of your answers. Cohesiveness is the most important factor leaders should consider when deciding on group participants. Will this person ever be kind enough or be willing enough to be a person that can get along with everybody else? Someone with borderline personality disorder, they probably can at one moment and then the next moment they can't. Even people with bipolar disorder, you got to be careful with that. If they have a manic episode and they just mad and just going off and just, doing the most, you kind of don't want to put them in your group. So that's the most important factor leaders should consider. Cohesiveness would be for a group to participate. To see if they can trust would be the most important factor for a group, period. Okay? The least important factor of a client's eligibility of the group is their previous experience with group. Now, if they say I got into it with everybody, nobody listened to me, that really don't matter right now. If they showing that they grew a little bit with you, you start them on a clean slate. All right. On stages. How do I say remember these stages?
Fish sticks, not pineapple.
Fish sticks, not pineapples. It sounds off the wall, but you're gonna always remember that. What happens in a forming stage? Fish.
Forming relationships.
They forming, right? And so get y'all pens out because what we looking at, this is Tuckman's theory, but there's 3 different theories you need to know. So Tuckman says forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. All right. But if you can remember fish sticks, not pineapples, and you can remember Tuckman's, you can insert everybody else's. All right. So when you studying this week, you looking performing. Matter of fact, this is what I want you to do. Put Tuckman equals forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Y'all got that? For Yalom equals orientation. His word here is conflict. Okay. Cohesion and termination. That's Yalom's.
Do you mind
Okay.
repeating that, please?
So for Yalom, he has orientation, which is the forming stage. He has conflict, which is the storming stage. He has cohesion. And then he goes straight all the way to termination. Now, one more. Y'all ready? Corey. Corey is the only one who has pre-group. Interesting. Corey was the one who said that we should do screening. Did you know that? Yeah, that came from him. So he have pre-group. All right. Then he starts with initial. The initial session is the forming. Transition, storming. Working, and then the final. Now, highlight all of Corey's because that's what you're going to see on your test. You're going to see Corey's stages. But the way you're going to remember it is fish sticks, not pineapples. Under forming, Corey said before forming, he the only one that had pre-group. Then the initial group. That's your fish. Transition, that's your sticks. The working, that's pineapples. So the only thing he don't have is not. He got pineapples, which is working, and then he have final, which is a termination, but that's your adjourning. That's your apples. Okay? Highlight Corey because that's what you're going to see on your test. It's going to be Corey's stages. Got it? All right. Now we're getting into different types of groups. Anybody can explain primary, secondary, and tertiary?
The primary is the preventive.
Preventative. Always remember that P.
Yeah, the secondary is, well, the crisis is already there. So we'll do
Yep.
what we can to prevent it.
Yep.
And then tertiary is, well, they hit rock bottom. So we're trying to help them not hit rock bottom again.
Long term. Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I like to my little story I like to tell on this, I always got a story so y'all can remember it. Primary. We are talking to teenage girls about not getting pregnant. Please don't get pregnant. That will ruin your life, girl. Get on birth control, use condoms. Matter of fact, just abstinence. Just don't do it, right? We're preventing them from getting pregnant. Now we have another group. They already teen moms. We are trying to stop them from being a teen mama too. So yes, you got your baby. Now we need to teach them you need WIC or you need to get a job. You need to make sure the kid is
Or
there.
like birth control or something.
Birth control for not having another baby. Okay, we don't, you did it the first time. That's all right. You can still have a life, all right? That's what some high schools do, where they have childcare for high school students. So
Mhm.
that's the secondary kind of thing. And then tertiary would be she had all them kids, now she dropped out of school and she got on drugs, and now we got to try to get her off of drugs. Long term. That's tertiary. Y'all got it?
Mhm.
All right. Now there is different types of groups. This is where vocabulary is going to come in. Homogeneous. Homo means what?
All the
Same.
same.
All the same. So in this group, the members have the same sex. They might be all women. They might be all men. They might be all teenagers. They might be all Black. They might be all Asian. Socioeconomic statuses. They might all live in a projects, or they might all live, somewhere else. Maybe it's a breast cancer group, or maybe prostate cancer group, and all those things, right? And then you got heterogeneous. That means what? We
There's
Different.
all in this
yeah, there's
together. Everybody in there.
well,
Everybody.
yeah.
Mama there, Peter, Master Peter, Gita. Everybody there. All right. Now, the types of groups you're gonna have, you got counseling groups. Give me an example of a counseling group because you got to know a difference between counseling and therapy, which is crazy, right? What's a counseling group?
A preventative group, maybe a group
The
that.
purpose is for growth.
Okay.
You're gonna have a counseling group where it's development, removing barriers, prevention. Group members have problems where they can address in a group format. This can be a group for like a grief group, right? Everybody is grieving. I had a group of boys whose dad was in prison. So we had a group for that. Everybody have the same kind of problem in a counseling group, right? And it can be a group. Guidance, you always think of school counselors. That's the only time you're gonna see guidance counselors. Always think of a school counselor. Guidance. We are guiding kids to the best that they can be. A psychoeducational groups, that's gonna be like in agencies, mental health kind of settings in the universities, and stuff like that. Um, all to teach something, to give social things. Like for an example, like what we talked about with the pregnant teenagers, that would be a psychoeducational group. Please don't get pregnant. Whatever. That will be held like at a WIC office or something like that. All right. Now, psychotherapy, that's treatment. Anything that have to do with treatment. That is me seeing my clients on Saturdays. When I go see them, they are getting psychotherapy. They are getting treatment. I diagnose them. She has PTSD. I come up with a treatment plan, and we're going through that plan. That is psychotherapy. All right. Then they got the self-help groups. That's AA. That's Alcohol Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous. They need to have a Weed Anonymous because people, they think they're not addicted, but baby, you are. If you gotta wake up and you gotta light up your blunt, I mean, you don't want to face life sober, you have a problem. Because I used to think I didn't, but I did. Okay. Um, a structured group. A structured group is quick, straight to the point. This is what we're gonna talk about. This is what we're gonna do. This is gonna last 4 sessions and we're done. You're just gonna learn these skills that I need you to learn. For an example, the theme of my group can be learning how to interview successfully. It's all about getting a job. So in that structured group, maybe we might go over resumes. Maybe we might do some interviewing skills. It's structured. It's straight to the point. A task group is what y'all are doing right now, studying together. That is a task, right? You working towards something, you studying, you planning. We meet as a group, it's a committee. When you think a task group, tribe. All right. And then a T group is a training group. That's what you get at schools. That's what you get when you go to work and doing team building and all of that stuff. Are you learning how to use a new software or something like that? A T group, training group. Different leadership styles. And we get into the end, no worries. I know everybody getting tired. Different leadership styles. There is a autocratic style that can also be authoritarian. Now, do not get this confused with parenting styles. We'll talk about that when we get there. Let's just stay on leadership because it's 2 different ways, and I'll explain them. Sometimes this is good. Sometimes everybody needs to have a mix because my principal, she needs to learn how to be like this because she do not know how to just make a decision. And sometimes you have to be that kind of leader where you just make the executive decision and it is what it is. It's not too many people, not too many captains on the ship, and it's no confusion. So autocratic style or authoritarian is someone who just straight to the point, let's do what we got to do, is really good for decision making. All right. Democratic is really good when you're asking everybody their input to make everybody feel special and make everybody feel like they're part of the team and they're part of the group. However, it is not the most effective, and that's the leadership style my principal have. It is not effective. The most, this is the most desired leadership style. Why? Because everybody will love you. They'll like you. You're a good leader. You listen to us. You want us to be included. But from time to time, you need to be authoritarian. Okay? Laissez-faire, fairly lazy. Okay? They don't do nothing. In group terms, it's really good though, because you letting the group run. You letting them fight. You letting them come know how to work it out. You letting them figure things out, and it's really good, which is crazy. It gives the best results, especially in group, because once you're finished and they're terminating, you didn't do it. You can tell them, y'all did this, not me. And then they can see that they had an opportunity and they know that they can fix their problems because they did it themselves. All right. This is on your test. The process and product leader. All right. And in terms of process and product leader, I want you to get it a different way so you can get it, right? So, boom. Product. When you think of product, we're going to think of Skinner. We're going to think of Pavlov. We're going to think of all the behavior people. The product is, I want to see what we're going to get out of this. I need to know what the product is. You know, the behavior theories, they don't want to hear about the problem. They want to hear what you coming in with and what I can fix. Okay? I don't want to hear about your life. I don't want to hear how you was when you was a little girl. I want to hear what's your problem. Oh, okay. So you don't know how to Speak up for yourself. So assertiveness problems, I can deal with that. That's what product leaders deal with. So for an example, John will know he has accomplished his goal when his anxiety is low enough to schedule his NCE. What was his problem?
He has anxiety.
Anxiety. That's all we need to worry about. I need to know what the problem is. So you will be given a scenario of a problem or feelings, the process. This is more of your person-centered, your humanistic, no, not humanistic, let me take that back, person-centered, okay? This is all about feelings, all right? John always respond with criticism when Mike speaks to him vulnerably. Do you see that? Like his process is, he's given defense mechanisms. That's people who want to know about your life, the process. Product, what's the problem? Let's fix it. Y'all got it? You get it? Product, behavior. Process, person-centered. Let's just look at his feelings. Let's go deep. Matter of fact, that'll be more of a psychoanalyst, right? Trying to look at why he feel this way. What's the defense mechanism? Maybe his mom used to talk to him really bad, you know? Yeah, that's process. So just know the difference between them two and what kind of leader you would be. Either we getting in, we handling, we doing what we're supposed to do, or you want to be there and you want to see what's deep inside and stuff like that. It's totally up to you. Now there is co-leaders. Co-leaders are really good to use in group. The pros are there's more people that's looking at the group. So when it's that assessing and evaluating moment, yeah, you can do your thing and they can be assessing or however you want to do it. When you're sick, you don't gotta cancel your group. All money can still be made. He can show up or she can show up and you can be sick, right? Vice versa. And then if one leader is experience counter-transference with somebody, they can pay attention to that and let you take a back seat and let them handle it before you get into a fight, right? What's counter-transference?
When the counselor is then projecting onto the client.
Absolutely. Now, here are some of the cons about co-leaders, leadership styles. What if I'm all down for the process kind of leader, but they want to be a product leader? We bumping heads, and the group can see that we're not on the same page. Just like kids, they can smell fear, right? So that can cause something, and then that's one of your cons. I mean, you just want to make sure, and then intimacy between the leaders may arise. Yeah, we gonna get to a fight. People know I don't like you and stuff like that. So, almost done. Proxemics. That's a huge thing that you kind of want to, bring up. Now, I know everybody getting tired, but you can listen to my voice tomorrow because all y'all getting this video. All right. But proxemics means the proximity on how we all sitting by each other. All right. Most of the time, this can be for your assessment. You can see who sit next to each other, who like each other, who don't like each other. Where do you and the co-leader sit? You got to make sure you blending in with them because you don't want to feel like it's a us versus them kind of deal. We all on this side and y'all over there. Like y'all got the problem. We don't. We here to fix you. You don't want that. You want to blend in with them, right? You got to watch how you sit towards some people. Even in individual counseling, you kind of want to, be a little relaxed. Don't be intense with your paper like this, ready to write, because they can feel intimidated, especially our colored people. You think you're better than me, don't you? Look at how you're sitting. So be mindful of all of those things. It could be harmful to some people if you sit in a certain way, and things like that. And then you'll just pay attention because this is good for your sociogram and for your evaluating and your assessing to see who actually like each other, who don't like each other. But this is important because if they don't like each other, we can't do no enactment together because they're gonna fight. We can't do nothing physical because they're gonna fight. And I hope you know how to break it up. Now, there are roles in the group setting, but the people don't know their names. That's the insider between you and the co-leader. All right. Both of y'all gonna know who the jokester. That's the class clown who never want to be sought out. I always think something funny at the wrong time because they really don't want to talk about what they want to talk about. There's a harmonizer. That's the person that like to keep the group all, copacetic. Can we all just get along? We can do this. The storyteller who just be talking, don't make no sense. It don't go with the story. She just taking up time, and it's like, Karen, you done? Because we need to talk about some stuff too. Energizer, come on, y'all. Let today be great. We know somebody like that all the time. And I always think they on cocaine or something like that. Because why are you so happy? The scapegoat, that's the person that everybody pick on. After group, what kind of training you think that scapegoat will need?
Assertiveness
Assertive.
training.
Assertiveness training, absolutely. That's because they don't know how to stand up for themselves. If they're the scapegoat, that means everybody is pointing the finger to them and they just taking it. The gatekeeper, that's our friend. That's who we want. That's our assistant. And they don't know their assistant. All right. They don't know these names. This is the insider between you and your co-facilitator. The gatekeeper is who you want on your side. They gonna be the manager. Okay. They don't know they're the manager, but they're the manager. They low-key want to be the counselor. That's their secret. All right. The follower, he gonna do what everybody do. The intrigator, she gonna start all the mess. She wanna see a fight. She messy. That's probably gonna be the one that you're gonna ask to leave, or one that you're gonna have to keep modeling and doing behavior modeling and stuff like that for. Now, all of these roles play out in these three things. So you can kind of see which roles are the task roles. That's the gatekeeper. They're gonna look out. The harmonizer gonna look out. The energizer gonna look out. Maintenance, that's gonna be your gatekeeper. That's your manager. They're gonna make sure everybody bringing what they're supposed to bring, that there's more coffee, there's more tea and stuff. And then the self-serving, that's the joker. That's the interrogator. Who else was on there that was a problem? All them. They the problem. Now, the study of relationships with a group setting is known as sociometry. Okay? The creator of sociometry is Jacob Moreno. Believe it or not, right? That's cool. And then sociogram. Now, what kind of mimics a sociogram in family therapy?
Xenogram.
A genogram. Absolutely. The difference is in a genogram, that's all about generations. It's going back 3 generations. In a sociogram, this is for the group. This is why we do assessments. This is why we do evaluation. We need to see that this female hang with this female. Them two, they like each other. They cool. Them two cool. He can't stand him. They all right. He don't like him. And that's how you do your thing. Y'all get it? So that's a sociogram. Now, I'm gonna go through the green book and highlight everything for y'all. And I'm gonna put it in the group by tomorrow afternoon for y'all to start studying. Any questions about group? We hit them all. Good deal. Y'all okay?
Yes.
Y'all tired?